I believe that every movie adheres to the 29-point story structure. No matter if the writer outlines first or if they dive in blind, the end product follows the same 29 beats. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End is my 45th piece of evidence. 2 hours and 49 minutes later, I'm left with the nagging feeling that Will Turner paid for the sins of everyone he trusted. I look back at his Pirates 1 introduction and wonder what would have happened if he'd remained as the protagonist. Instead, he was usurped by Jack Sparrow using popular opinion, and now he's cursed forever. Sorry, mate. Gore Verbinski's third installment raised the spectacle and stakes through seemingly unending world building. The massive cast and crew gave their all to what they likely believed was the end of the trilogy, despite the predilection of a Hollywood Uno Mas. And as always, everything has been built around the universal storytelling of the 29-point story structure. Let's begin. A tight focus on the core elements of the protagonist's personality, inner conflict, and situation. As Lord Beckett commits genocide, we unite with Elizabeth and Barbossa on their mission to bring Jack Sparrow back from the dead, with the rest of the motley crew underfoot for protection. Where, why, and how the protagonist exists in the world, with a focus on why they don't quite fit in. Will navigates each side of the conflict for his own means, like good old Jack, while Beckett directs the Flying Dutchman on a scorched earth campaign, so to speak, and draws Norrington ever closer to being a loyal pawn. Then Tia Dalma fills us in on the lore of Davy Jones's locker. A singular event that's never happened before, and is destined to lead the characters away from their status quo. Will decodes the navigational charts. An examination of what's different in light of the something new, what's the same in spite of it in relation to the status quo. The charts lead to more pirate lore in a general direction to Jack, while Beckett takes a more hands-on approach to taming Davy Jones's wilder instincts. The discovery that things are less than ideal, or an exploration of how badly things are. Will and Elizabeth continue their super fun don't say anything useful to end the tension bit, while Barbossa leads the ship to lose its way over a waterfall, and we get a ship full of Jacks. This is so wrong. Characters dedicate their effort to a specified goal, which is smaller in scope than the primary objective of the third act. Jack seeks to leave, but can't do so without the help of his environment, and the crew convince him they aren't hallucinations and to accept the rescue. A brief checklist of the story elements needed for the second act. Beckett's plans for world domination in the Brethren Court of Pirates, power struggles and secret agendas, the fractious relationship between Will and Elizabeth, pirate lore mixed with the supernatural, and personal loss. The singular event that launches the characters into the wild jungle of the second act, also called an oh shit moment. Elizabeth is forced to leave her father behind in the realm of the dead to keep the Black Pearl on course to stop Beckett. Oh shit. Characters must learn all new rules and expectations distinct to this adventure. Jack figures out the trick to getting back to the living, and the crew flips the ship. Characters showcase their ability to grow in the areas this adventure requires, typically through external means. The Black Pearl returns to the realm of the living. A standoff proves that none of them truly have the upper hand, and both captains of the Black Pearl refuse to leave the other with his ship while they resupply. Characters face legitimate and understandable reasons to deviate from their stated convictions, agendas, or desires. Will reveals his mutiny in hopes of saving his father. Then Sao Feng reveals his double cross in hopes of surviving Beckett's genocide. Then Jack dances around what leverage Beckett may truly have. An escalation of problems that vex the characters. Beckett double-crosses Sao Feng the double-crosser, while Jack bargains with Beckett to be the last pirate standing, and Barbossa beckons with Sao Feng with Elizabeth in the middle. Then Jack makes it back to the Pearl in typical Jack fashion. Characters evolve internally by utilizing everything they've gathered and learned. Sao Feng teases out the wrong identity of Calypso, and Elizabeth angles for how best to leverage that mistake when Sao Feng does that for her and appoints her as the new captain, and Elizabeth stands tall in that role against Norrington. Journey-weary characters reconcile the reality of their ongoing situation with who they were in the first act. Elizabeth is clued into Will's broody inner conflict. Beckett gets closer to wiping out all of pirate kind. Then Jack uncovers Will's deception and tosses him overboard. A singular event that strikes at the protagonist's core conflict. Norrington realizes the depth of evil and corruption in Beckett's methods and frees Elizabeth, and there's no turning back from here. Characters find needed answers for both external and internal conflicts. Norrington gives his life to help the pirate cause, dealing a blow to the genocidal plans of Beckett, while Barboza teases out the real identity of Calypso and the last hope to take down Davy Jones. The clarified objective is realized in part or in whole, though it's meaningless without the completion of the primary objective. Will navigates the politics of several massive egos, but his position to enforce the deal he strikes is slippery at best. An existential conflict that wounds the character's sense of self, worldly identity, or their journey. Elizabeth fails to unite the pirate lords behind any course of action. Calypso promises cruelty upon the pirate lords when she's released, and Barboza wrestles the attention of the committee. An undeniable win for the protagonist, typically in direct connection to the rebirth. Jack Sparrow takes the stage and turns on his charm to appeal to the pirate lords, which brings out Captain Teague in the official code, and Jack uses pirate egos against them and votes Elizabeth as Pirate King. A grand loss directly connected to the character's newfound inability to quit the journey. The United Pirates realize they're about to show down against a massive naval armada, and the central characters face off for one last clever misdirect. A thematic freefall tied directly to the heavy price. Jack's plans go off rails, which he's quick to point out to himself. Beckett prepares to attack, and the crew engages in supernatural pirate lore to free Calypso and kill Beckett, but she dissolves into a million crabs instead. A singular event that robs the protagonist of seemingly any chance of success. Barboza is out of ideas, and they're all screwed. Characters cannot return to their starting personas, and must turn to face the primary objective. Pirate King Elizabeth rallies the troops into action anyway. Beckett unleashes Davy Jones, then the Black Pearl and the Flying Dutchman trade blows across a torrential whirlpool. Characters move towards the climax while utilizing the major swings and sneaky misdirections of the story. Jack outwits Mulroy and Murtaugh for Davy Jones's heart. Then he and Davy Jones face off for the fate of their own souls, while Will and Elizabeth tie the knot on their tumultuous romance. The final confrontation between the protagonist and the antagonistic force. The ships collide near the vortex. They shoot the undead monkey out of a cannon, mostly because no one's paying attention, come on now. Then most of the central characters fight their way to a standoff, and Davy Jones calls Jack's bluff. The singular event where the protagonist finally confronts their place in the status quo. Will stabs the heart of Davy Jones, technically speaking, thus damning his soul in order to save the rest of pirate kind. The direct aftermath of the climax. The crew of the Flying Dutchman converge on Will. Beckett admits to his endgame treachery, then Will emerges with the crew under his command. Alive. Kinda. The consequences of the climax in relation to other characters and the status quo. The Black Pearl and the Flying Dutchman perform dual drive-bys and end the terror reign of Beckett. Then Will and Elizabeth consummate their marriage in possibly the shortest honeymoon imaginable. A tight focus on the protagonist contrasted from the opening. The crew of the Black Pearl finds itself tied yet again to Jack, who's already on the hunt for the next bit of booty. And there you have it. My 45th example to support my argument that all movies follow the exact same story structure, regardless of how the writer approaches their craft. At World's End expanded every sequence to allow every actor to showcase their chops, yet every step of the 29-point story structure is accounted for. But does this swashbuckling political thriller follow the same plot beats as a Florida vacation misadventure that smartly brings Richard Cheese into the action? Yes, it arguably does. Next on my docket, Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar. Please subscribe to stay up to date with this and future videos, and please like and comment with your thoughts and reactions. I'll talk to you next time.